So, hello and welcome to the Extreme Improv Podcast. My name is David Pustansky, and today I am joined by a guest improviser, Tim Webb. Tim, how are you doing?
Doing great, David.
Yeah, and I'm doing well, thank you. Had a couple of technical difficulties before we began this, but I think we've smoothed it out, touch wood.
Very good.
Yeah, so Tim, just to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where are you Skyping in from today?
I'm here in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Just off the east coast of the old great US of A, about 100 miles off the coast.
Fantastic. And what's the improv scene like in North Carolina?
It's actually growing a lot. I've been involved in improv for about 8 years. And in that time, I have seen it grow from just a few improvised teams to quite a few. Here in Eastern North Carolina, there was only one improv team when I first started, and now they're scattered all about. So it's thriving.
Yeah, that's great. It's amazing how when improv starts in an area, you see other teams pop up, other shows pop up, and all sorts.
Sure, it surely is. Here in Greenville, I work with a team called Inner Banks Improv. We've been together now for, this is our 6th year, starting our 6th year.
Wow, and how did you originally get involved with them?
A friend from Fayetteville, I was working with a team called Horrible Folks when I first started, and through mutual friends, I met a young lady named Lisa Marie Coltrane who was doing improv here in Greenville, and together, she and I and a few others started Inner Banks Improv, and we've been together ever since. We do monthly shows at Whirly Gig Theater. We have one coming up Saturday, and our last show had about 70 people in the audience, so
That's great. It's always great when you can get a crowd to come and support improv.
It really is. It's and the crowd here in Eastern North Carolina is really starting to get into it. We do short form with Inner Banks. I have another short form team, Walk-In Bathtub, out of New Bern, which is a little closer to the coast, and we work out of the New Bern Civic Theater. We did a show last Saturday night with 200 people in the audience, so that was very thrilling.
Wow, I bet. What's that?
One of the largest audiences.
Yeah, what's that like when you've got a big crowd and everyone's shouting suggestions and things at the same time?
It's it is absolutely insane. It's as I say, a Saturday night show starts around 7:30. It's an R-rated show, so it's all adults, and it's incredible. And when you get when that crowd of 200 enjoys it, that roar of that laughter is really something you don't forget.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so this being the Extreme Improv Podcast, as well as getting to know you a little bit, and we'll find out more stuff about you as we go along and have our chat, but we're also going to play a few improv games along the way. And I'd like to pick the first game that we're going to play, and it's going to be a traditional alphabet scene. So for any of the audience listening who are not initiated, an alphabet scene is performed usually with a 90-second time limit, but we'll see how we get on with it. And the way it'll work is each time the next character speaks, it has to begin with the next letter of the alphabet. So, for example, character 1 might say, "Are you all right?" beginning with A, and character 2 might then say, "But why do you ask?" beginning with B, and so on and so forth. Tim, you being the guest on the show, you get to choose our scenario. Where would you like us to be?
Let's be in a supermarket.
Okay, in a supermarket. And can I then have a suggestion for you, from you, of something unusual that might be happening in the supermarket today?
Let's have a horse is loose in the supermarket.
It's just like the old saying, a bull in a china shop. This is the horse in the supermarket. I will choose for us a letter to start on. So let's start on the letter E, and then we have to go all the way through the alphabet and get back to the letter E. Okay, are you ready, Tim?
Ready.
Here we go. Equine, the horse is escaping and it's got into the supermarket.
For the love of God, people are in here. Someone's going to get hurt.
Get that horse away from the dairy section.
Horses usually shop in the low-calorie section.
Is that true?
Just the other day, I saw a horse in the low-calorie section. He was looking for lean cuisine.
Kicked me! The horse just kicked me! Did you see that?
Lots of horses kick people. They don't have hands to strike you.
My goodness, are you some kind of horse expert?
Not really, but I have had my share of horse instances.
Oh, really? Do tell me.
Ponies, which are miniature horses, are very popular where I come from.
Quiet! I think the horse is approaching.
Really, really careful how you speak to him. They're very sensitive.
Speak to him like a horse whisperer. I believe in you.
Take a moment. Get acquainted with his eye contact. That's important.
Is, I believe, a horse word for eye contact.
Very good. Very good.
What do we do next?
Xylophones. Horses love xylophones. Play a xylophone and they'll follow you anywhere.
You know, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Zebras are actually not part of the horse family. It's wild.
Are there zebras coming in here as well?
Hardly ever see a zebra. I don't think they like large buildings.
Can you see that? The horse has just gone into the freezer section.
Don't insult him. Again, I tell you, they're very sensitive.
Exactly, you're right. Let's just let him cool off in there. And we made it back to the letter E, so well done us.
Very good.
Yeah, how was that for you?
That was fun. I love that game. I like it when you have several people involved, 3 or 4 people involved, and it gets a lot more. It does. A lot more active.
Yeah. So, in that one, what are the tricky letters that you find, or the challenges of that game?
You know what? It's not so much the first. I find it's not so much the first word. It's trying to keep the scene going and trying to make a complete sentence after you've put that first word out there. Yeah.
I find that if, for example, you'd said a word within a sentence that begins with the next letter, if I can latch onto that and then make a sentence out of it, then yes. I find that's a good one. And then the tricky letter is usually the Q's and the K's and the X.
Yeah. And with X, I only have xylophone. I'm limited.
So in my experience, we found that there's a couple of names, Xander and Xena for a girl, and what else? X-Ray, X-Men, X-Factor. It's always like the same few. You have to work them in there a lot. Okay, so Tim, moving on, before we play another game, tell us, do you have an anecdote or a story, something that has been either the funniest or the worst thing to happen in improv that you've done? So what would be an example of perhaps like your worst night at the office doing improv?
Okay, worst night at the office. Last year, I was hosting a short form game, and I was standing off to the side of the stage, and the stage was maybe 6 inches off the floor, just a slightly raised stage. Yeah. And I was running up, getting suggestions from the audience, and I think it was a one-liner game. But anyway, I was stepping backwards and rather quickly to let the players play, and stepped off the back of the stage, walking backwards.
Oh gosh!
And almost fell. I did stick the landing, but it's a wonderfully awkward moment.
Yeah. No,
I just I held my hands up like an Olympian, like a gymnast, and pointed to a lady in the audience and said, "The Russian judge gives him a 9." And tried to save the moment. But.
And did it go down well?
Pretty good. At least it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be that split second as I was stepping backwards off the stage, because I said this is not going to be good at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what though? It sounds like you saved it really well. If you're doing a show and there's some sort of unexpected mishap like that, if you style it out, then it can be a show stealer.
Yeah, that's the great thing about improv. We're always calling out mistakes anyway, and using those as gifts. So that was quite a gift, and fortunately, one that we could all laugh at.
No, that's a really good word for it as well. It's a gift. I did a show last year, and as part of one of the games we were playing, the actors had to down a pint of beer before we began the scene. And one of them went full Homer Simpson or whatever. He downed it in 3 seconds, but in the process, he poured half of it just all over the stage. And then we had a very sticky stage that we could reference for the rest of the show.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever done the short form scene where foods are used, helping hands, where one player is the hands for the other player. And there's usually
Great game.
Oh gosh, and you're eating all these foods and drinking, and we just make a huge mess. Usually do that game last.
Yeah, you need to. What kind of foods have you had within it? One time doing a show, we had the Tabasco sauce, and that was quite a killer.
We've used the hot sauce. Of course,
yeah.
Whipped cream is always a great play in there. And,
yeah.
Wine glasses, or plastic wine glasses, so that you can do the toast and hook the arms and drink from each other's glass and such.
Yeah, do you know what?
If
you're performing under stage lights, then the whipped cream, you wouldn't want to do that before the last game, because that will end up, if it's got on the stage, you'll end up a bit smelly.
Oh yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a last game of the night, big finish.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's use that a little bit as inspiration. So let's take a food theme for our next game. We're going to play a questions-only battle, in which we'll have to say everything we perform in the scene has to be a question. We're not allowed to say any sentences that would have a full stop and then start with a new question afterwards. Everything has to be a question in its own right. So what's your favourite kind of food, Tim? Getting to know you a little bit more.
My favourite kind of food is Italian.
Okay, fantastic. Let's say we're in Italy. We may have Italian accents, we may not. We might have bad Italian accents, I guess we'll find out. But we're in Italy, we're at an Italian restaurant, and everything we say has to be a question. You ready?
Ready.
Here we go. So, Giuseppe, where's the pizza?
Why do you always ask me about the pizza? I am just the delivery boy.
Cannot you also be a chef?
Can I just start being a chef now? I know nothing about cooking.
Do you not have self-belief?
Do I look like I have self-belief?
Do you want to be a great pizza chef one day or not?
Can I not be a great pizza chef in my own time?
Are you ready for the ultimate test?
You mean there's an ultimate test?
Do you see that pepperoni over there?
You mean the very long one?
Is there any other one?
You mean they don't make short pepperonis?
Are you ready for the ultimate test? Can you hand me the pepperoni?
Do you believe in me?
Would I be standing here if I did not?
Are you sure I'm the one you want to learn?
Do you remember what our mother said on her deathbed?
How could I ever forget Mamma Mia?
Yes, that's right, and that's not a question. She did say Mamma Mia, but remember, do you remember what she said as she reached for the pepperoni?
Do you think I'm as good as her?
Are you ready to find out? Can you pick up the pepperoni and slice it blindfolded like she would?
Can I use both hands?
Would Mama do it with both hands, or would she do it with no hands and just her feet?
Do you think I can use my feet?
Are you wearing your socks?
Can't you smell my feet?
Would you believe that I don't wish to look down because all I can smell is garlic?
Don't you know garlic is good luck?
Where did you hear that?
Can't you understand our culture?
Do you want to know a secret?
Is it safe to tell secrets while cooking?
Would you believe, according to Grandma, it was?
Why do you always bring up Grandmama?
Wouldn't she want to be brought up on a day like this?
Aren't days like this just the grandmamas?
Do you want to make me cry, or is that the onions?
Is it true what they say about onions?
What do they say about onions?
Isn't it something about tears of joy?
I believe it is. Okay, and we'll wrap that game up there, so well done. That was really cool. 1 point I got completely stumped, though, I have to admit. 1 point, I forget what it was now. We'll hear it back later.
I had a couple of times. It was stuck me, but that's another fun game. And the great thing about short form is even if you get stuck, I just sell it and own it and don't be afraid to take the fall or get disqualified or lose the game or whatever. That's what I always have to remember in short form games, guessing games. If you get off and you can't figure it out, you just try to make the audience enjoy it regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in the middle there, when I knew I was stumped, I was just like, "That's not a question." I just call it out, acknowledge it, own it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tim, tell us about your favorite short form improv game.
Okay, probably my favorite short form improv game. It's going to sound a little simple, but I just love the game. It's a one-liner game. I'll play with the whole team out there. It's a game called I Like My Women or I Like My Men or Innuendo. It's called several things, but the audience gives suggestions of nouns, and you take that and complete the proverbial I like my women like I like my coffee or tea or potatoes or whatever the audience suggests, and you complete that and try to make a pun out of it.
Oh gosh, wow. Is that one that I don't know if that will work like over audio? Is it one we can have a go at now?
Oh yeah, sure. For instance, give me a noun.
A noun. Cup.
I like my women like I like my cut. Easy to handle.
Aha! I see it. This is really good. It's a really good game. Okay, I like it. Okay, throw one to me. See if I can come up with a pun. Probably won't, but let's do it anyway.
Okay. Jungle.
Sorry, what was that word?
Jungle.
Do you know what? I actually can't understand what that word you're saying is. Jungle.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's jungle, like Tarzan in the jungle.
Oh, it is jungle. I thought you said jungle. Okay. I like my women like I like my jungle. Lots of bush all around.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you caught right on.
Okay, let's do another one. So the noun I'm going to give you is car.
I like my women like I like my car. Lots of mileage from the previous owner.
That's fantastic. Brilliant. Chuck us another one.
Let's see. Let's go with potato.
I like my women like I like my potatoes. I like to get out my peeler and peel them down.
Oh yeah.
And they probably show a lot of skin too. There's probably a lot you can do with potatoes.
Yeah. Some are you can go on forever with some words, and some are tougher. And if you got a sharp audience, they're trying to throw the tough ones at you.
Gosh. Okay. So, what's an example of a tough one you've had during a show?
Well, jungle was actually one that was kind of tough, and of course the bushy and the thick. And eventually one night I kept trying to come up with a Tarzan reference, and came up with a little bit of a sexual innuendo of I like my women like I like my jungle. Every time I'm deep inside one, I go, oh! But,
Fantastic. That's great. Really good. Oh, no, this is great. That's a great game. I'll have to do some more of that one. That's a good one. Okay, so just to go on to a little bit more, just to get to know about you and your improv experience and stuff in the past. When you were first getting into improv, did you find it an easy thing to get into? What were the challenges? What was advice can you give to anyone who wants to do improv?
Okay, that's a great question. As I say, I went down, saw an ad on the internet where this team was putting up workshops. So the first thing I would suggest is, opposed to trying to just find a team that is currently working, that can be hard to do unless you do have experience. If you don't have experience, try to find a workshop somewhere that they are giving classes or workshops. And you can find those at most any improv theater. Start with that and get something under your belt. And from there, you'll meet people who are on teams. And you'll work your way up to that level. But it's going to be tough to just start out a total novice and become a part of an improv team, because obviously the people on the team will have significantly more experience than you. So I would say workshops, absolutely, if you can find them. And I was lucky to find one, and they were 3 hours every Saturday, and they were free. And so, and there was all level of players, and so that was quite a big break for me, was meeting so many people currently doing improv, right on down to people who were just like myself doing their first workshop. And I was very fortunate in that. And from there, I met Lisa, who was here in Greenville, and had an improv team, and we started working together some, and I became a part of IBX. So that would be my suggestion, is to find a colony of improvisers and try to get in.
Yeah. Have you ever like led any workshops or done any like coaching or directing of improv yourself? Or have you
have not done a lot. I do every year something I'm really proud of. I knew quite a few teachers, and I know a drama teacher that heads up the drama department for Pitt County Schools here where Greenville is. And once a year, me and a couple of other people go out and work with the juniors and seniors of the drama department. And we do an all-day workshop with people who do stage fighting techniques, puppeteers, storytelling. We have an improv, and the students rotate around, and we do like a 45-minute workshop with groups of 15 kids, and that's just super because the energy is through the roof. You're working with high school students, and they just want to get in and learn as much as they can. They're all aspiring drama students, and so that's my experience with coaching. I have not coached on coaching adults or done workshops.
Yeah.
But I enjoy performing and working with teams. As I say, I'm a member of 3 different teams. I mentioned the other 2, but I have a long form team out of Raleigh. The theater is called Comedy Works. We're a resident team there, and the name of the team is Origami Tacos, and we've done long form now for a little over 2 years. And,
fantastic. How do you find long form? What do you find to be the challenges of long form when compared to short form?
The challenges is, in fact, we were there practicing last night, working on a form, selecting a form, and getting that chemistry between the players, knowing more about what your teammates or where the scene is heading, the game of the scene, such. And in short form, we're doing improv, and a lot of the same rules apply. But also, we are usually we're going for that button, that quick finish to a scene or a game, so that we can move to the next thing or do it again. It's like we were doing with I Like My Women. You want to do a few jokes on one word, then go to another word. In long form, you are working one common idea for a longer period of time. So you have a little more time, but still you have to stay very focused with what your team scene partners are doing so that you can develop a thread or a game.
Yeah, absolutely. I find with long form, a challenge a lot of people have is they try to overload it with ideas. And for a story, they can be very simple, and it's just pacing things out. Whatever the initial conflict or situation is, it can go from the first scene and just develop throughout. People don't need to go from a bank robbery into a deep sea dive into World War III and back again, all within like a long form play. It can just be boy meets girl, and eventually are they going to get together, and an hour later we can still be telling that same story.
That is so wild you would mention that. Origami Tacos, we currently have been doing a form where we do a scene paint, and we paint 3 different scenes at the beginning of the show, and all of that is just for developing information to use in the show, and you can overdo it. And so many times when we're going back over notes, we look at the scene paint and say, God, we didn't even explore this. We laid a lot of information out there that we didn't use.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a danger.
Yeah, no, and it's the thing because improvisers, because actors, we're really creative, and if there's a big ensemble, we all want to get our ideas in, and it's just about having the restraint to hold back sometimes.
Exactly, and I've been taught to try to quickly latch on to one thing that you heard, and go with that, as opposed to trying to see how much you can keep in your head and all that. Just try to take that one thing and let that grow into other things. Yeah,
certainly. Okay, so Tim, have you got like a phone going in the background? I can hear this.
I do, but it's okay.
Okay, you know what? But again, I figured it was the case, but I thought it was something. We've got to take ownership of it, acknowledge it. There's a phone ringing. Everyone will be wondering who that was. So
exactly right. Exactly.
We should get them on. Do you need to take it? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm fine.
Okay, cool. Let's move on. Just to we'll play one more game. It's like the time has flown by already, and this one is where we're going to attempt to perform a monologue. And the monologue we perform, we're not allowed to repeat any words. It's an extreme monologue. Sometimes known as the game is called Just a Minute, but it's an extreme monologue where you're not allowed to repeat any words at all. So even if if I repeat the word
David.
The word
give me just a second. Let me see who this is.
Yeah, no, go for it. I will just vamp in the background, and at some point Tim will rejoin us. So this is the Extreme Improv Podcast, and just to throw in the plugs and stuff here whilst I have a free moment. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to hit subscribe. It's available on iTunes, Google Play, just currently in America at the moment, Stitcher, Podbean, and you can get it on TuneIn. You can listen to it on your Alexa device. Pretty much anywhere where you can get podcasts, you can get this. Extreme Improv have live shows coming up. We're going to be at the Camden Comedy Club a lot of different months this year, so check out for when we're going to be there. We're going to be at the Aylesbury Waterside Theatre. We're going to be in the United States, in Florida and Alaska for shows, and we'll be in Nottingham back here in the United Kingdom as well. And so if you want to get tickets to any of these shows, make sure you go to www.extremeimprov.co.uk. And so that was my little bit of plugging out the way. Tim,
right, David, I really appreciate you having me here today.
Yeah, that's cool. Tim, are you good for another couple of minutes to end on one more game?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry. I was going off there on all of my plugs. I didn't know if you were back or not, so apologies for that.
Ironically, the great improv bit, it was a wrong number.
No way. That's amazing.
Total way.
That's fantastic. Wow. Okay, so the way this will work, Tim, is I will have a timer this side of the call, and being the guest, I will let you begin this. And if I think you've repeated any word, or if I feel that you're hesitating for too long, I'll just say freeze and stop the timer. And it's about trying to be in control. So the only one person will speak at a time. It's about being in control of the scene for when the minute ends. So you're trying to get hold of the scene and keep talking without repeating any words or without hesitating too long until the end of the minute. And if one of us challenges the other, then the other person takes over the monologue. So Tim, being the guest, yes. Can I have a suggestion from you of a well-known character from fiction?
Let's see. From fiction, God, Superman.
Oh, fantastic! Do you know, Tim? You can't see this right now, but I am currently wearing a Superman T-shirt.
That is so wild.
Yeah, I know. I've got good vibes about this, and I promise you, I'm actually wearing. I've worn a Superman T-shirt, even on one of the publicity photos for Extreme Improv. So I'm very up for this. But Tim, you can begin the monologue. So let's say you are Superman, and just to throw in another suggestion, let's say you are upset because you have had an argument with Lois Lane. Everything you have to say is not allowed to have any repeating words at all, and you're not allowed to have extended pauses or hesitations. In your own time, Superman, take it away.
She doesn't understand me. No one gets what it's like to be a superhero. Changing clothes in a phone booth. Disguised myself only with a pair of reading glasses. Criminal after criminal after criminal.
Oh, criminal. Freeze. Freeze. Repetition of the word criminal. Criminal after criminal.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. It was so good. Well, we went for 24 seconds before I was able to call you out on that. So now I will try taking over. If you hear me break any of the rules at any time, just shout freeze. And
okay.
I go. Lex Luthor doesn't understand what it's like to be in a relationship. He's always causing problems. Then Lois wants me at home. I've got to get it through to this woman that she cannot have my full attention. The world is at stake. If she doesn't come over to me when I'm relaxing, then that's her problem. Mr. Double L, as I sometimes call my arch nemesis, is problematic, but I am fed up of what he has to say. And that is 1 minute, Tim. That is 1 minute. I'm not sure I did too well. I think I repeated a word or two, but if you didn't catch it, then
I didn't catch it. I was
catch it.
You did pretty well. I like the way you, instead of saying Lex Luthor twice, you went with Double L.
Double. Do you know what? And like the thing is, I should have said Lex. I should have said Mr. Luthor. I should have said, I used up his whole name in one go. So that's something I can do differently another time. Okay, so Tim, we will bring this to a close shortly, but I wanted to thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to doing something like this again. If you ever need me, just give a yell. Yeah,
I definitely will, Tim. It's you've been really good, jumped into everything with that excellent improv attitude. So, Tim, just before we end though, so just tell everyone, if you want to share where people can find you, where they can find your improv teams, if there's social media or websites and stuff.
Absolutely. On Facebook, look for Inner Banks Improv out of Greenville, North Carolina, Whirligig Stage in Greenville, North Carolina. Also, Walk-In Bathtub, which is out of Newbern, also on Facebook. And my long-form team, the Origami Tacos, out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Comedy Works is our theater there. We're a resident team there. Comedy Works is in Raleigh, a great improv theater that's been around for forever.
Fantastic. That's brilliant, Tim. Just to ask you one more thing, actually, because something that I've literally just thought of that might be fun to do. Can you suggest a character for our next guest to do? So this will be something to link into the next show. So can you suggest a character that the next player will have to perform as?
I'm gonna try and be tough on him. I'm gonna suggest Popeye.
Popeye. That is great. I'm not sure I can do a Popeye impression, but I will do my research on this. But that's fantastic, Tim. So just to wrap things up, this has been the Extreme Improv Podcast. My guest today has been Tim Webb, who's been an excellent guest and an excellent sport jumping into all of the improv games. You can find out all about the Extreme Improv Podcast and the upcoming live shows that we've got at our website, www.extremeimprov.co.uk. And until next time, have fun. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you, sir.